I'm really delighted to start off our first Fireside chat in the session, and it's with Barbara Diehl. Do you want to take a seat?
Of course.
All right, so we will share a mic here.
I hope you're impressed that my outfit meets the chairs.
I am very impressed. I'm clearly not correctly dressed for this appropriately. Well, so we got connected to Sprint a few years ago. Patrick and I had a phone call, and then Patrick is from Sprint. He took a chance on us and joined Vision Weekend last year and liked it. And now you guys brought a whole team and actually partnered with us on this event, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Yes. And I think you guys are like the role model, really, of like more of the innovation mechanisms that we need in Europe in particular. And I think it's really inspiring the work that you're doing. I think especially that you, in Germany, we say you don't take a leaf in front of your mouth, which basically means you speak very bluntly about what could be better improved in the German innovation ecosystem and like actually the entire European innovation ecosystem. So thank you so much for joining. I first want to ask you, like, really, what's the motivation really behind Sprint? Because not everyone might be familiar with it. And then also, how did the organization's model come about? And in particular, like, you are a national agency, but you can also fund internationally. What's the deal with that?
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I don't know, some of you might have been there when I introduced myself on Friday. So Sprint really is an experiment, and it's an experiment by the German government in funding and enabling breakthrough innovations. And it was a personal initiative, very much driven forward by Chancellor Angela Merkel during her tenure. And what she did was she convened these very high-powered so-called innovation dialogues in the Chancellery, and there were a lot of wise women and men around the table who said, like, we're looking back at sort of the Germany's value creation and obviously economic miracle and economic as being an economic powerhouse in the world. So where does this all come from? We're resting on the laurels of breakthrough innovations that were probably made 70 to 100 years ago. And since then, we have, in the innovation funding space particularly, perfecting all these mechanisms that encourage more incremental innovation, but we haven't really looked at this breakthrough stuff. And so 2016, I said it is, the oil from Russia was still flowing, and China was buying lots of luxury German cars and other machinery, so life was good. So at that time, it probably seemed more of a kind of a, oh yeah, we should do something about that. Kind of nice to have. But fast forward to 2024, I think the world looks very differently. We have an entire country that is facing an energy transition. We've had a global pandemic, so I do think there is a lot more openness now within the German and within the European actually political establishment to think we need to do more about this and actually enable agencies that have a role in spotting and enabling and funding these sorts of breakthrough projects.
And you can do so internationally?
And we can do so internationally, which is always something that people have big question marks on their faces when I talk to them, and they say, "Well, you're a national agency, so what can you do internationally?" And says, like, yes, because the solutions to the type of challenges that we look for, if they happen in Germany, great. But if they're happening somewhere else, I'd rather have them than not have them because, I wasn't able to fund them. So yes, we have a very strong ethos around that. We are also looking beyond Germany and in the sort of the European ecosystem and also beyond there for exciting stuff.
Great. And so, can you talk a little bit more about like your priority areas? Like, I was just actually in Hanover a few weeks ago, had never been before, even though I'm from Germany, because Sprint and Volkswagen Stiftung together hosted a symposium towards circularity, and you have a challenge on biomanufacturing and other pieces. Could you just tell people a little bit like what your priority focus areas are? Yeah.
So essentially, we have sort of two ways around how projects can come to us. We have a very rolling open call, 24/7, 365, really apply through the website. And then we have these kind of more top-down topical areas where we are launching innovation competitions called challenges around particular areas. And one of them is circular biomanufacturing, where it is around turning biological waste streams through bio reactors, essentially, into new feedstocks for the manufacturing or additive manufacturing production processes. But we also had one just in 2021 when we went for the first challenge. We had something on broad spectrum antivirals. So the fact that, is it actually possible to have something like a penicillin against viruses, right? So something that is not a vaccine, but is actually available on day one when let's say, an incident of a pandemic, what's it called? A pandemic, whatever, proportion, something like that is declared by the WHO, that you have something on the shelf that actually allows you to treat people from day one. So that's been ongoing, so that's finishing actually in October. We've had something on long duration energy storage. Again, also big challenge for us, especially in Germany, with facing all these challenges around energy transition. We've had something on tissue engineering. So it's always trying to kind of come up with topics, and that's why I'm particularly excited about the tech trees, I have to say. I'm really excited about the tech trees. Martin, you're gonna be hearing from us around how can you actually be more targeted in how to identify certain priority areas where actually an agency like us can actually make a difference. Yeah.
And how can people find out more, like if they want to apply there?
Go to the website.
Okay, go to the website. I think one thing that I also thought was particularly inspiring at the last summit that we had together, you also not only fund, but you also serve as this kind of think tank of like really trying to improve on a meta level, like just the innovation ecosystem. And like one thing that you've talked about there and was really your pet peeve pretty much was that it's really, really difficult for projects to spin out of universities, like tech transfer, IPO. It's all kind of like, yeah, it's a little bit, sorry, not IPO, IP. It's a little bit of a nightmare. And what are you hoping to do there? You've done this fantastic survey and mind-boggling, terrifying, but also very useful.
Yeah. Just a show of hands here. Who has ever dealt with their own technology transfer offices in the room? Okay. Experience, good or bad? Oh, there you go. This is the reason why we are sort of tackling this issue. It actually came about, again, as something that we experienced as our own pain point, because we were very excited about a particular project that we had scouted, and we actually wanted to push that further in terms of translation, and then we started negotiating with the relevant institutions, and it was painful, and so we thought, okay, we have to do something in this space. And I mean, it's to say that we are strategic in the way that we scout these projects, or we identify these sort of priority areas and say, oh, and there's regulation that needs to be fixed around that. I would probably say that's not entirely true. I mean, we come across these problems, and when we say we have to do something about it, we try to do something about it. But it's, yeah, so as and when we experience it in our own day-to-day business, we try to do. And hope that over the course of the next 3 years, we are putting tools out there. We are trying to improve the data, let's say the data availability around IP transfer models, and also what the investment side thinks, what the founding community thinks, and actually trying to push policymakers as well to allow and to steer more of these processes, which they haven't done so far.
And there is a survey link on your website, right, that people should fill out?
Yeah, so we did this investor survey around especially one particular IP transfer model, which is around virtual shares, and we were actually very positively surprised about the sort of the response and how positively investors responded to that particular model of IP transfer. But we were also asking them around, okay, what are particular showstoppers for you? So if you have, let's say, a deal structure where a university holds X% of equity, like, is this, like, what does this signal to you? Like, what goes on in your head? And so that was very insightful, I'd say. we're now trying to do the same with actually spin-offs. So we are currently preparing a spin-off survey where we're trying to get the views of the founders, and particularly those founders who have been sort of 3-5 years out, because that is when, let's say, the rubber hits the road. Let's say that's when, let's say, unfavorable deal terms that you might have gotten from your institution actually sort of exert their insidious influence in future fundraising rounds. So we'll work on that.
Great. I mean, eventually we should have a leaderboard for the most spin-off friendly universities. That would be ideal.
Oh, that would be,
yeah. So in your, experience, what do you think, the kind of like US innovation ecosystem, let's say, can learn from the European one and the European one from the US one in return?
Yeah, I've been looking at that, and especially events like this, which brings these communities together. I think there's been so much kind of mutual discovery going on that I think we need loads more of this. So thank you very much for having us and for enabling that sort of exchange. I think, yes, of course. I mean, part of the blueprint for Sprint was looking at the US agencies like DARPA, like ARPA-E, and trying to learn from, how it actually works under the hood, under the bonnet, right? And this kind of flexibility, the agility, this is what we really would like to bring to the innovation ecosystem, because innovation isn't a directed approach. You can't really predict how many pencils you're going to buy in year 4, right? When you are mapping out an innovation funding proposal, let's say to whatever, one of the Brussels programs or even one of the German programs. I mean, they require you to put out a financial plan that makes exact predictions about how things are. You might as well not do it, because if you can't predict innovation to that degree, it's not innovation. Yeah. So actually designing funding mechanisms and designing approaches in such a way that it actually allows that sort of flexibility and allows that sort of pivoting, I think that's where we want to go. And I also want to kind of shape things in a way that we also fund more people rather than projects. I mean, at the moment, it's very much tied to project funding, but I actually would like to do more people funding, because that's really what I like about the Foresight approach is the fellowship programs, and that you're actually taking bets on people doing good things, and I think we need to do more of that.
Wonderful. As a final words, what should people talk to you if there's anything that I should have asked, or any open questions?
Ask me anything.
Okay, well, that could be very wide. All right, thank you so much, Barbara. That was wonderful.